Okay. All right, guys. So in this session now, then, welcome again to the Language Institute, Thammasat University, right? And you are with me. You are with me, right? Dr. Monton Kanok, right? Vice Director for Academic Affairs and Research at the Language Institute. And today's session is a very, very special session for us to have our expert from Chulalongkorn University, right? Assistant Professor Dr. Pornpimol Sukavatee, right? Our specializing in media and application development, and she's done extensive research on such a topic as well. And if you know, during this COVID situation, we have faced a lot of challenges in designing materials and engaging students with us. And at the same time, it's kind of very intrigue, right? Situation like to design any kind of special research and at the same time practice using the materials design and development during this kind of situation. And I think Ajahn Pornpimol, right, has done quite a bit on this, and she has some good views and good research guideline for us to conduct research during this situation in designing instructional materials, learning applications, right? And I think with no further ado, I think it's time, right, to welcome our speaker of today, right, Assistant Professor Pornpimol Sukavatee on the board. Please welcome.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Ajahn Monton. Honored to be here. And first of all, I would like to extend my appreciation to the host, the organizer, Language Institute, for having me or including me in the research webinar series, which aims at, developing the knowledge sharing community among the academicians, right? Among our colleagues. And greetings to everyone. Good morning. I see a lot of familiar faces. I would say that, some of you could be like the experts and, so thank you for coming. So let me start by sharing my slide, Ajahn Monton. So do you hear the slide? Do you see the slide well, everyone? Hopefully. So this is the topic of my presentation today. Move the class to the cloud, research trends in ELT materials and media development. So first of all, I need to clarify this a bit that I wouldn't, I'm sorry, could be the wrong one. Then I have
Take your time.
Right. You start by the first slide, right? Can I stop sharing first? Apology. So this is the title of my talk, and I see the caption from the director of the institute that he said every cloud has a silver lining, right? So hopefully this is what we are looking for to today, looking forward to today, right? For a hope, right? So hopefully my presentation, my today's presentation would shed some lights on the materials development research field for you. Okay, so let me greet you again with my video. Okay, now that you may see that, what is the this is the outline of my presentation today. um, well, to begin with, the terms materials and media will be addressed, but this part I will go like swiftly through it because you are like an experienced teachers as well, and I know that you might know already what how we define materials and media in ELT. Well, then after that, the issues in materials and development will be discussed, and next to it, research trends in ELT materials and media development will be brought on the table to to show the trends as I promised you to do so. And the last one, the last but not least of this presentation would be a showcase of ELT materials development research in Thai classroom. So this is my own research, and I would would like to use this to illustrate the process of research in materials development. Okay, so first of all, let's see how the educators defined materials. Well, some of you know already, but most of them would see materials as a tangible item to facilitate and assisting the instruction, both teaching and learning, right? All of them, David Noonan, Epstein, and Olmison, and Tomlinson. But what I'm interested in is what Kathleen Grave said. Well, she said that the boundaries between materials, techniques, and activities are blurred. Why is that? Right? Because usually materials do not come solely in the teaching process, right? It come hand in hand with the activities, with the curriculum, with the instruction, with the methods, right? So it comes in a package usually. So to separate the materials from other pedagogical components might be no, not that easy. So what is media? According to Brinton, media is technological innovations in language teaching, mechanical paraphernalia, glossy and polished audiovisual aids. But by audiovisual aids nowadays, people might mention it as like multimodality. Multimodality, what is it? Multimodality refers to the applications of multiple literacies with one medium. It might include text, pictures, audio, and everything. Okay, so sometimes the media could be a driving force for the curriculum, as in audio lingual method, that the audio visual materials play crucial roles in that. And if you, I mean, if you are old enough, you might, and you might have the picture of how we teach silent way, right? In the silent way, the materials also play important roles in that. We use the sound color chart in that, right? So this is the simple meaning of materials and media, right? So Brinton also divided the classroom media into like two types: the non-technical media and the technical media. Um, since you are an experienced teacher, I know the audience, right? You may have a picture of all what is called non-technical media and technical media, right? So for non-technical media, we do everything. It's not using electronic or electric, right? And the technical media is all things that they use electronic or electric. So types of materials here, we talk about published materials. So people might doubt what is like published materials. So published materials include course books, resource books, videos, reference books, computer software, and everything. So published materials, what is it? The published materials are the graded materials that have been developed for like teaching and learning purpose, right? So you may have like the publisher who offer the published materials, Meanwhile, the other type of materials, I'm talking about the main type of materials. This one called authentic materials. What is authentic materials? So authentic materials is the realias that have been used in everyday life, right? So it has no purpose of like using for teaching and learning, but the teacher or like some of the educators make it in use of teaching and learning. Okay, so this is the types of authentic materials that you might encounter in everyday life. All right. So this is the traditional classroom. Asking whether we are still happy with the traditional classroom. For me, I would say yes, right? But however, there's a driving force for a driving force of a change in a so-called, we call it disruptive era. Right now, we are in a disruptive era. Um, well, Hegelheimer, stated that even though future language teachers will most certainly not be replaced by computers. So this is like the very common and kind of regular F FAQ, right? Frequently asked questions, right? When I have been to the international conferences like in ELT and in the technology session, most of educators or the audience always ask, can like the computer replace the teachers, right? And the answers is no. It's always no, right? But somehow computer using language teachers will replace those teachers who do not use computers. I think this will be clear for you now, since we are like in the let's say obligatory situation that every teacher needs to use computer, needs to be able to use technology in their teaching. So the one who do not use computers might be like handicapped, I would say, right? At the moment. That's why I said move the class to the cloud. But my talk today is not aiming at let's say sharing the let's say applications or sharing some kind of like the online activities or materials using technology. But I will talk in the aspects of like the research, right? So so this one would be like something that you need to consider. But I'm sure that you are like the teachers who use computer nowadays. So when we talk about like say the cloud, right? So we need to like consider the materials. Nowadays we have core and more materials. Core stand for อาจารย์มณฑลทราบไหมคะ Do you know call stand for
Computer assisted language learning.
computer assisted language learning. I do slash because sometimes you can call it alternatively like call and more. More is mobile assisted language learning materials. So how the educator call is not new, right? It started by the 80s, but well, it still continue now and it's still like in the trends of materials development research. um, so Beatty, he defined the call as any process in which a learner uses computer and as a result improve his or her language. And these include many aspects of call. Beatty said it includes issues of materials, the design of the instruction, and the technologies itself, pedagogical theories, and the mode of instructions. So what is the mode of instructions? Usually when you talk about call, the mode of instruction refers to the platform that you like deliver your instruction. For example, it could be like online, face-to-face, blended learning, flipped classroom. So this is the mode of the instruction. So this is the class atmosphere, which I think that some of you use this already, right? At your in your instruction. So plenty of like nowadays I used to grow up in I was growing up in the ambience of let's say not this kind of computer room, but in the language laboratory room. There we sat in the booth and then just practice the language with the headphone, with individual and single, like booth, right, in the booth. But nowadays every computer room will like arrange something that the students can collaborate, can like do some kind of work together, not individual task. Okay, so this is like the current atmosphere of like people who use cloud materials. So this is it. What is it? So this is another format, not that format. It means that another materials that we can call it materials as well. Game can be considered as materials, but this one is not like very games. This is like the Second Life. If you know, the Second Life is kind of like the virtual world that people like communicate and share the and be in the community and share the interest in each community, right? So this one is the Second Life, and we consider like the online graphics, the online avatars, and online games and everything as materials as well. So this is like can be called call as well. Um, Levy and Stockwell talk about core materials. Well, they say that core materials include tasks, websites, software, courseware, online courses, and virtual learning environment. So apology if like I do not include all of it, but to give you an idea, I think this will be like enough. And then renders in white refer to course material as an artifact that produced for language teaching and learning. Okay. Then come to mall. Actually, mall is becoming more and more popular, right? And they has gained more and more popularity these days since what? Since people can learn from anywhere at any time. So you might hear this word a lot: learning from anywhere, anytime, and most of it, they can take control over their learning. People talk about learner autonomy and everything. So more is a good ways to like deliver the learning or the instruction, right? And there are a lot of like more materials has been developed these days. So let me show you the following slides. Let me show you like the examples that will portray the like language learning applications as materials in more. Okay, so that would be here all for all of language learning aspects, right? Features. This is the applications for listening, right? This is for reading, okay, writing, okay, speaking, okay, and for grammar. All right, so these are like the principles features of like language learning, but you can add for more. There's a lot of like free applications or free resources nowadays. To some extent, you might, let's say you have some limitation a bit to use the free applications, but somehow let's say that there will be enough for you on the market that you can use in your teaching and learning for language instruction. Okay, so um, this will illustrate why does call and more gain popularity in language learning. So I want, say something about the tragedy that we have encountered these days related to like, the issue of the pandemic, right? But this is it. So what we are like encountering now, we do exist in what we call the new normal. And we have been in the new normal situation for more than a year now. And some of the educators like kind of like foresee already, right? Not only the new normal here, but they foresee the next normal. So what is the next normal then? What does it mean? People do not know yet, right? But all that we know that teaching and learning won't go back in the same way as in traditional way as before, for the next normal. So this one, of course, we as a teacher we long for like the classroom. We long for like let's say that we long for the ambience, right? Teaching and learning ambience that we used to be there. But after the COVID, the post COVID era, I don't think that we like things would change to be back or be the same. Okay, so then we consider a lot of like since we nowadays get familiar with like many of the useful online materials, right, which has quite benefits in learning uh, and teaching. So to be back, let's see that what it will happen or not, but I would say that it might not be it might not happen again. So key considerations why core and more in core and more materials. So Chappelle, well, is one of the experts in this field. Well, she said, how does technology intersect with language teaching practices in ways that benefit learning? Okay, so let's see why technology could benefit learning. Okay, so this is like on the right column for learning. This is what we like expected for learning in the 21st century, right? And what could allow learning in the 21st century to happen is technology. Technology can be personal, or of course, it will allow the personalized learning. Okay, it be user centered, and of course learner centeredness is accentuated. And for mobile it could be situated learning, collaboration, ubiquitous and lifelong. You so can you learn forever through like technology could help you or assist you to learn in such kind of new learning. Okay, then I will move to the issues in materials development here. Um, so Tomlinson, he defined materials development as the process that include materials evaluation, materials adaptation, materials design, materials production, materials exploitation, and materials research. If you do something of this, it's included in the materials development as defined by Tomlinson. Well, Tomlinson, I would introduce him a bit if you are interested in the field of like research in the materials development. Tomlinson, he's now the current president of Mazda, MATSDA. Well, Mazda is the material development association, which has like a very productive conferences and productive let's say member products a lot. If you are interested in this field, I would recommend you to visit the site of Mazda. And Tomlinson, he's one of like the great experts in this field. There'll be Tomlinson, a husband, a Tomlinson, and a wife, right? Both of them work in this field. So what Tomlinson said, like since the mid 90s, right, materials development has also becoming popular field of an academic study and investigates the principles and procedures of the design, writing, implementation, and evaluation materials. Okay, therefore there'll be a lot of things that you can do. But I need to like mention this that at the early stage, materials the development was not that recognized, and it was like considered insufficiency academic by academic journal. Okay, so this is before the 90s. And then however, right, Richard, 2005, well, he stated that all materials reflect writers' theories of language use and language acquisition. So therefore, it's like Kathleen Graves said, the boundaries between like materials and other, let's say, pedagogical components are blurred because they come hand in hand, they come in a package with it. So this one, but they usually, Richard said that they normally do implicitly. So let's say that you need to highlight it a bit in your work, and often without being aware of it. But it is there, it is lying there, but not that explicit. All right. Mali, 1995, was stated materials development is a form of operationalized tacit knowledge and is informed by fundamental beliefs. By fundamental beliefs would be like, the theories, the approach, and everything about nature of language and the nature of learning. Okay, so let me show you the two models. These two instructional models, actually it is an instructional model, but these two models are quite popular in the field of research development, um, no, materials development research, right? We call it ADDIE and actual model. If you like look into the ADDIE and actual model, it has been long used nowadays, but is still in use, right? In many research still keep doing use this model in terms for the purpose to develop the materials for the instruction. So what is ADDIE model? You may see, I'm not going into details of the two models, but I would like to pinpoint that every like materials in the process, they all get involved with like um, let's say the pedagogical components, right? So in terms of like analyzing learner, they need to analyze learner, set objective, um, in these analyzed learners, they need to like put what we call it the pedagogy or the approach. They need to like think about it in terms of developing the materials. So we have like ADDIE and Azure model. Okay, so the following slides, I will show you that there's a lot of like, there's still some gaps in this research field, and there are plenty of academic floor for you if you decide to work in this research field. So every renowned international conference, they have like the sessions and the strands for this research area. For example, TESOL International, right? This one will be Asia TEFL, very famous among you, right? We have designing syllabus and production of teaching materials. See, in core TESOL, right? We have materials cost design, right? In like AEJ Yuki SLA Research Conference, still we have materials development. Okay, Viet TESOL, materials and curriculum development. Or sometimes we instruction, design, materials design, curriculum development, they come together, as I mentioned. In Camp TESOL, we have curriculum and materials development. And for Cooley, that will happen in like, this I will help tie in a bit because this is from July, right? My colleagues, it will be like, the conference in June, right? And there we have materials design and development, okay? TESOL, France, still materials development and publishing, okay? This one is ISO, materials development, Intel, materials development. See that, there are many like, let's say many conferences and like academic journals that accept or recognize materials development field in like as the one of like the main strands or areas of research here. So I will let you see how can like we do the research on like material development. Some might view like many published research studies explore the effects of materials on their users, right? So like for example, the effects of, you may say a lot of like the, you may if you browse the journals or the like articles, research articles, you may see a lot of the effects of materials on something. So this is how we do as well. So we have the effects of text-driven materials in the classroom in Turkey. We have the like evaluating the attitudinal and learning effects of core materials on learners. We have the effects of blended learning materials on learners. We have the effects of extensive reading. Extensive reading is kind of like, coming to the trends now. That and people have a lot of, remember that you need not to create research materials development doesn't mean that you need to like create all news from the scratch. It could be adaptation, it could be like evaluation, it could be like the alteration of the existing one. All right. And the effects of extensive reading, yes, and the effects of material on learner being immersed in the target language. Okay, so for, well, I think we are so quick. Yeah, I don't think that I will spend much time here. The next chapter that I'm going to talk related to the research in the materials and media development is the trends. So how can I predict the trends or like kind of explore the trends to understand the current situation and predict the trends of ELT materials and media development? Usually we use what we call systematic literature review or SLR, right? So what is it? So SLR is the methodology used to find the aggregate all relevant studies about specific research question or topic of interest. Okay, so what is the scope of this SLR? So I search on the citation index internationally and nationally and of the nation. So we use like Scopus index citation to search, and we use like Web of Science and the TCI. For those who are like, a foreign colleagues, TCI is Thai Journal Citation Index Center, which is like accepted in like, in the level, at the level of like university level or academic levels here in Thailand. All right. So this is the scope of our like primary. I would say that this is like primarily preliminary research. I'm not going to like finish everything yet. So this is the procedure when we do like the SLR or systematic literature review. We start by research studies. We select the related papers. We review and filter and classify the papers. We analyze the data, and then finally we synthesize the data. But to admit that this is what I'm going to offer as a talk in my talk today is not a complete research yet. So this is like preliminary observation of the trends of the research using SLR as the let's say the tool for exploring the trends. Let's say, so I haven't touched upon the synthesis of the data, much. So this is the examples. Other scope of this study is that we explore by using the keyword search and the citation index. As I mentioned, the three citation index, there be like ISI, Web of Science, Scopus index, and TCI. Okay, so the year, I limit the year to 10 years only. So it started from like, the search of mine started from 2012, right? 2012 to um, 2021, right? Which is very early, but anyway, all right. So after like do the keyword search, I try to like look for like, the title, research title. And some of them I can get to the abstract, some not, right? But to ensure that everything is related to like, English language learning, all right? So I do explore it, and the keyword search in the citation index. So I come up with like, ADI model, Azure model called CLIL, right? CLIL stand for Content and Language Integrated Learning, which is coming into the trends of language teaching and learning nowadays, because it's in the integration of language teaching and other content area. And differentiated instruction, this one is coming as well, but you will be surprised when seeing the result. Differentiated instruction, actually it can be referred to tiered instruction, right? That we like, and in this approach, materials plays important role in differentiated instruction, because you need to differentiate the content, right? The preference and everything, and interest and everything. And then English materials development, media and English teaching, media development, reading material, technology and material. So some of you might say, oh, there'll be some words, some keywords that I may be like I might ignore, or I might forget because they in your mind you have it, but it might be absent here, like ESP, EAP materials, right? Or what is the other one, which is very famous, the localized, right? The localized, let's say materials. But I decide to like make it a bigger umbrella in materials development keywords. Okay. So where these keywords come from? I decide on the keywords. Usually in the literature SLR, you need to review the literature, right? Since I have this kind of rough preliminary, like let's say research, investigation. Therefore, I just decide on the keywords on like, the trends of the research of my students in the program. I ran two programs, the TEFL program at the Faculty of Education, and the EIL program of the graduate schools at Chulalongkorn University. So I kind of investigated like, the research trends. I mean, the research studies of like PhD or at all level PhD, dissertation, master dissertation, or even IS, right? Individual study or master project. So I came up with like, and end up with those keywords to look for like the trends in the citation index. And while reading materials, most of like, let's say materials development in our program focus on more on the reading materials rather than other type of skills. All right. So this is like, the results that I have found in like the keyword search for the results of the like, to see how it goes during the 10 years. So we may see that for materials development, it has a higher like, growth of let's say the research publications in the year of like, recent year, like 2020 21, right? And also the which is this one, technology and materials as keywords. You may see that there'll be like the jump up of like, the growth of like the publications, let's say in the well known citation index here, right? Others would be like, up as well. Call is high, but not as high as materials development and technology and materials. Okay, so this is like this is the proportion that I do some like preliminary again synthesis of the uh, findings here. So you may see that surprisingly, right? Lately I heard a lot of the DI materials like differentiated instruction. But from the result that I found that there is a lot of room for you if you are interested in developing materials in the differentiated instruction. That's only 1% here, right? During 10 years, right? But I think the DI is very interesting since it's kind of serve the needs of the learners at all proficiencies, right? But somehow in the field of research, there will be so few, let's say, publication on the DI, right? Comparing to other key terms, to other keywords, right? And what is actual model is 2%. It's all right. Therefore, we can see that ADDIE model, even though they have like similar traits, Azure and ADDIE model in terms of using as a model for materials development, somehow ADDIE model is more popular, right? It's more popular than the Azure model. Yes, there'll be and if you would like to be one of them, let's say, be one of them, which means that majority do this, I will do this. So you can conduct the research on materials development, any kind, EAP, ESP, and or you want to be one of them as the technology and materials development. So you can develop your research on that. Clio Clio is coming the in the proportion close to call now, right? If you see from the result here, so it means that people see the importance of how to integrate language with other subject areas in the teaching, right? And in this case, the materials um, it's important in this kind of instruction like Clio. Okay, so this is what I have found here. Okay, and the keyword search, and then the proportion of publications from Web of Science, from Scopus Index and TCI. So here you are, Scopus. It's quite still high. Let's say high in the proportion. All right. Okay. I will come to the last part of my presentation now. Okay. This is my own materials development research. So I received the fund from TSRI, or Thailand and Science Research and Innovations. Okay, very difficult to remember. Okay, so it means that the materials development can be uh, at the scale of like PhD scale, MA scale, right? Of a work like dissertation, or even like IS scale. Now they still got the publication, got published, I would say. And mine is in the national scale, right? So I will show you a bit of the case study, and I will highlight the stage of how I conducted the research on that in the materials development research in Thai context. But first of all, I need to clarify one thing. My innovations, or my applications that I develop, the materials that I have developed here. This is for MOL, from Mobile Assisted Language Learning. The name is MOLO, Assisted Language Learning Open Resources. And this is not a self-contained application. What does it mean by self-contained applications? Uh, by that, it means that you can find the content, let's say the definite content in the applications, right? But for Molo, they work as a portal. So what is a portal? Portal is like a door. Have you heard about the web portal, right? So this is like, the access to other resources. Molo in the design as well. Since we are aware of the concept of the learning is dynamic, right? This is my concept. The learning is dynamic. So it means that if you like design the content, the self-content content applications, it might be some kind of limitations in terms of the dynamic of the content of learning, right? Therefore, me and our team decide to work on what we call application portal, right? Which means that you can like tailor making all the time. The insight of like the um the um the application portal. So let me introduce you to um my innovations or my like research based application portal.
Malo, a super-powered, gamified application portal for boosting language skills and motivation in the disruptive era. Hi, ladies. I heard your problems with much understanding. I am Malo, a superpower, innovative application portal. To boost up your language skills is not so tough. To up-level your happiness while using my features. Of course, satisfaction is guaranteed. Let's explore what I can do for you, both teacher and learner. My name is Malo, or Mobile Assisted Language Learning Open Resources. I am an innovative application portal to support English language learning. First of all, you may wonder what I can do to save learners and teachers from feeling discouraged when it comes to teaching and learning English. I am a research-based invention with impeccable features that serve the needs of users all over the world. Let's explore the components of the portal together, and you won't get disappointed. If you are a teacher with Malo, you can manage English language learning guidance for learners, set appropriate goals for the learners, upload CEFR-based resources by suggested criteria of credibility. Receive the feedback of learning from learners. Build up language learning motivation in learners and select the appropriate tools or materials for the instruction. If you are a learner with Malo, you can learn English at any time and anywhere via your own devices. Tailor your own learning resources. Set and achieve your learning goals related to the CEFR levels under a teacher's guidance. Learn 4 language skills and build up your vocabulary and grammar. Malo is the all-time favorite of every learner. Let me explain why. Special features of Malo: a language learning reflection via ePortfolio. With Malo, you can track your learning progression related to your learning goal setting, add certificate, and reflect on your learning experience to show your outstanding achievement in the ePortfolio. Earn 3 types of badges when you add at least 3 certificates in each category. See your extraordinary achievement in the rankings in the Hall of Fame. Let me share the highlights of Malo's features. Personalize your own learning. Tailor the appropriate resources based on CEFR level for your proficiency. Boost your language skills. Listening, speaking, writing, reading, vocabulary, and grammar. Learners can tailor and select the resources to personalize their own learning to suit different learning styles, strategies, preferences, pace, and proficiency levels. In the disruptive era, Malo allows learners to access, then add to the menu, English learning application open resources, including 4 language skills, which are speaking, listening, reading, writing, together with vocabulary and grammar to boost language skills. Challenge yourself with a gamified e-portfolio. With the gamified features in the e-portfolio, learners get a challenge to make progress of their status from an egg, a caterpillar, a pupa, to a butterfly. When the learners achieve a learning goal, they will be awarded the bronze, silver, and gold badges. They can share their rewards on the Facebook. An extraordinary of the achievement is automatically recorded and displayed in the Hall of Fame. Keep up with all updated applications. Access open resources from around the world. Malo, the powerful application portal, as learning toolkits will be all-time updated with new applications. Malo can also be adapted to any language learning by customizing the open resources of other world languages. You'll see that Malo can not only enhance language abilities, but it can also highly augment learners' motivation and engagement. Malo, the powerful application portal as learning toolkits, is available now.
Okay, and the good news is that it is free.
Malo, a super.
Okay, so before I go further to how I conduct the research for Molo, right? So let me share some other kind of materials that is also research-based material. It's I kind of skip this stage a bit. So let me show you the samples of the research-based materials of my advisees, let's say, right? So the first one is the DI, right? Differentiated instruction. She developed the tiered reading. So this is not my my advisee, but she is the a student, MA student in TEFL program. So this is tier reading instruction, right? So it's up to the ability of the student that she need to alter and adapt the text to match with the grade level. And this couldn't happen without the materials development. So the DI should come in a package with the alteration of materials to match with the levels of the learners. They all learn the same things. They need to reach the same objectives of learning in a lesson, but in the content, the materials should be tailor-made to match with the level of proficiency of the learners within the same class. So this is the concept of the DI or tiered instruction. So this is the materials that she adapt. And of course, those materials are research based, and then it passed the the evaluations. It passed the the stage of development and the IOC and everything, right? Next would be the localized research. Reading instruction. So if you are interested in that, you may go back and consider how can you make use of these samples to be your new research, I would say. So this is the reading instruction by starting with reading on a corn, right? So every reading materials or reading research-based materials, I would say, it started by the lack of proficiency, right? Or the low ability of your like population or your like, let's say your target audience, right? Therefore, how to augment, how to like increase their ability. There are one, the materials is one of like the factors that could like boost their let's say their proficiency, because it's kind of like by the concept of motivating, right, and engaging the learners, right, and this is Nakhon. It's in the southern part of Thailand, right, so the design of the reading materials, well, she goes with like, what is important in Nakhon. So there'll be stage like warm up, pre-reading, right, pre-reading prediction, pre-skill scanning, right, yeah, now can you see it? With the vocabulary learning and activities, right? This is all like, researcher made, and, in terms of like, developing the materials, and it suits the interest of like, the results, of course, is kind like, let's say, usually the research development should reach the stage of like evaluation or like implementation, right? So they use them in the instruction, and they do the pre-test and post-test, and most of the result will yield that there will be successful materials that help increase significantly the ability, especially reading ability of the users or the learners. Okay, so this is I will try to look for there'll be like, reading fluency, the time, the reading, right? Those based on like the rationale, those based on the literature when they developed like, the materials here. They'll be listening, because there's no such what we call like single skills happen in the communication. Therefore, integrated skills are allowed, right? So, reading in Nakhon, and so these are the process of the second. I'm trying to look for the second chapter. Warm up, so this one is playing with shadows. This is one of like the art and culture of Nakhon Si Thammarat, one of the Thai province in the south of Thailand. The researcher's name is Wansiri. I don't know where she's now, but she's one of the like our colleague somewhere in Thailand now. She was the EIL students. And then again, the last one that I would like to show you is the work of Kun Prasani. That may inspire you somehow to like, do something like her. I think it requires an effort, though. It requires an effort, of course, but then again, it worth, right? So let me show you the other piece of like research based materials development. Okay, let me share. Yeah, why ตายละ Am I still here ค่ะ Am I still in Zoom คะอาจารย์มด
Yes, you are.
Oh, I lost my I don't see the camera now. I don't know why. Zoom. Oh, ทำไมล่ะ So let me fix this a bit นะคะเดี๋ยวก่อนนะคะ I don't think I see my Zoom now. I don't know why. อืมมันไม่ pop up ขึ้นมา เดี๋ยวนะคะ Apology for that.
Please wait for a while.
Right. I'm sorry. The technical problem. Can I? Just access again. Okay, I'm back. I don't know why, but I lost my my Zoom on my computer. Anyway, okay, so let's see Kun Prasani's work. Okay, so this is Kun Prasani's work, right? So this kind is of like materials. At first, I think of the ESP, but this one is the EAP actually, right? She kind of developed reading materials for physical education students, right? She's from the South as well. Um, well, we have with the problems of that the physical education students usually they don't uh, let's say they are not into it, they're not into the reading, especially into like the reading stuff in English, right? So Kun Prasani as a researcher and the I would say that most of materials development researcher they take two roles. They are both researchers and practitioners. So they would like to like they really experience what is happening, and they would like to like find a solution for something they encounter in their everyday life. So she teach the physical education students, right? And found that they lack of interest and motivation in reading, right? Therefore, the score is quite low, right? So she tried to fix this with the developing of materials. So she developed the reading materials according to their interest by using the sports team, right? And the first unit will be football, and then swimming and triathlon. I want show you all, but this is like the first um, materials that she developed as a reading textbook. So she try to, let's say, localized, I would say. So instead of using like the picture or like the let's say the materials on the market, they might offer the picture of like Maradona. I'm sorry, I'm not like a football fan. I might mention some name that it's quite obsolete, but like David Beckham or something, right? Or someone, right? I'm not a fan of football, but usually the materials that you found on the market, it would be like something that is not like related to their real life. So in the like to engage them more, to motivate the readers as learners more, Kun Prasani use like Thai footballers as like one of the features, or one of like the reading comprehension text in her materials, right? And of course, the result yielded that the students, the PE students, like increase their like reading ability, right? That therefore, well, this is because they kind of love reading more. Let's say because they would like to know about their idols, right? So pick the idols, pick someone that they know that they feel related to, right? Is kind of localized in a way, right? And in with the localized concept, she put the like, let's say, the theme of interest, right? Of like the readers as a sports theme for the PE students. Therefore, they read more, of course, right? So this kind of thing of like materials development can benefit the let's say the learners who have problems, right? In a way. So let me continue my model, right? Can I continue my model? So the model that you have seen there is a web portal. It's free. You can download. You can search on Google Play and the Apple Store, right? iOS Apple Store. Um, and you search like Monlo, and you can find it and free download. But it is the portal, and if you have some kind of like let's say do not know how to go with that applications, right? I have like the handbook or the manual for you. I can distribute if anyone is interested. I can like give it to Ajahn Monton to LITU, right? So that you can like, ask for the manual and download it for free. So let me continue with the research conducting to develop my model. Okay. So this is my model. Actually, model has a sister. We developed two applications. The other one will be self-contained. Uh, I work with Ajahn Jintavi. Well, she is a professor now, Professor Dr. Jintavi Klaisang, right? She is in my team. And then we developed two applications. One is contained as Molly, right? And my model is like, the portal, applications portal, right? And we have the concepts. Let's say that we go to the cloud just in time, right? This research was conducted in 2019, right? 2019, and it finished on 2020, right? By the time of the pandemic, visited us, right? Therefore, I say that I can evacuate something like, onto the cloud just in time. Okay, so we have the concept of mall. Instead of using like simple call, we go for mall because mall is something that is in the trends at the moment. Everyone learns through something with mobility, right? The gadgets and everything, right? It doesn't have to be a smartphone, but it could be any like gadgets or like, devices that they can move and learn, right? So we call it a new paradigm of ubiquitous learning. We can learn from anywhere for EFL learners, okay? The model, the application model has also won and or has also was also awarded. They received the golden, oh no, sorry, the silver medal. Molly got the golden medal, but Molo got the gold, got the silver medal from Khao Song, Khao Song International Invention and Design Expo. This is like, the competition for the innovation, let's say research-based innovation. So I need to clarify the step of like the research to the committee as well. But this one is online, right? Recently, like at the end of like, I think we won it in November 2020. Okay. So as in many research steps, right, you need to start by, the problems. So why we receive this research fund is that the nationwide got the problem of, the language proficiency, English language proficiency of like, Thai learners. Therefore, there will be some kind of project launched by Ajahn Nattama to, let's say, to find the solution, to conduct the research, to find the solution. And Molo is like, under the umbrella of the bigger umbrella of the research of Ajahn Nattama. So it starts by the problem of, let's say, the Thai students who lack of English language proficiency. Still, we discuss this. I have been teacher for, I think this year is almost 30 years now, okay? And then again, English language proficiency of learner is still has been discussed, never ended, right? But somehow we as the researcher, as a like, English language teacher, we are trying to find, our best to like, the right solution for the students. And Molo, I think, will be a right response to like, the problem at the moment, because we have like the learners at this era, we call them like digital natives. You might have heard about this word coined by Prensky in 2001. So it refers to any like, any children who were born in the millennium year on, right? From the millennium year on. So they get used to like the learning like this now. They get used to all technologies. So then we have like the problem statement of problem is the lack of proficiency. Together with the national policies of Thailand, like for Thailand 4.0, or any like, plan, educational plan of Thailand, right? Thailand educational plan. I think it's from now until what year? Its Buddhist era would be like 2575 something. Is very long way. And then again, they aim at promoting, right, English language in particular, not any other languages, but English language in the plan, right. So in the teaching and learning, so this is the rationale why we come up with like this kind of like innovations, and we come to more. I talk about it already. More is very suitable for like the learners in this era. And then when we come to more, we investigate the language learning principles through more and open resources online. We are interested in open resources since we think that this will allow what we call learning opportunity to everyone, right? The free apps, the free learning, right? Is something that you can find to like to give your learners as a token, right? These days, and there are plenty of it. And after like synthesize everything, this is a research objective. I won't go into detail, but this research of materials development here is an R&D. Therefore, we conduct the research before that we develop the, let's say the application portal model, right? Then we find the needs. We study appropriate components to develop since it's R&D, and then by the end of implementation, we investigated the satisfaction levels of like the user of model, right? And then to present uh, the use of model by the end, right? So we divided sample into like three groups here. Actually, the expert is not that sample, but first group of sample is in the research phase, right? So we need to collect the needs, the needs of like the learners and teachers, right? So we do the needs and we did the need analysis um, by 1,500 students and 120 teachers here came from the 6 regions of Thailand, right? From north, south, west, east. Okay, and we have like the help from like in each region a lot, and I really did appreciate the help. um then again, when we have like the need analysis results and exploratory factors analysis questionnaire that we launch here, after that we develop the model according to like the data that we got from the first phase, right? After that we got evaluated. Our model got evaluated by 9 experts, right, to see whether like and certify the use of model, right? In terms of like the size structures, the components, and how it works. And then again, finally, to be in the implementation phase to prove. Um, since it is like kind of huge and R&D, so we don't have like pre-test, post-test. So we let's say investigated only the satisfaction of the users, right? When we try out the model, and the 300 students here, they are students from the 6 regions of Thailand, in Thailand, right? As well. Okay, so we like travel a lot for this let's say for this research. And this is a research instrument. We use like needs analysis questionnaire, satisfaction level questionnaire, and we have other questionnaire as well, EFA questionnaire as well, right? And evaluating certified form. For analysis, we use PNI modified exploratory factors analysis, mean and standard deviation in terms of like data analysis here. So for the first phase, first questions, we found out that we have the highest let's say PNI result for like both stakeholders of like teachers and students. They need the highest support of wireless technology, so they don't have the problem of like when I conducted this research, I did put like the photos on the Facebook. Somehow I'm a Facebook user, like and then again I got a call from one of my colleagues, right? So she kind of like curious whether like there would be some kind of difficulties in the use of mobile technology in the provinces or not. So I would say that from what I travel around and I have collected data, I found no difficulties now, right? Of like the connections of the wireless, like let's say connection. So but then again, in some schools of course it's still some the lack of it, right? So they need the highest support for that. And among all the skills, this is not surprising, right? The needs of like the students go first for the grammar skills, right? Maybe grammar could be like something that they would like to improve, or it would be like traditional concept of like the teachers that put in the head of the students that grammar is important or something. Here grammar in Thailand, grammar is very important because teachers love teaching grammar. I actually I do teach at the Faculty of Education, right? So I teach like a teacher to be, an English teacher to be as well, right? And each project that they make, usually they go for grammar. They go for grammar. I don't know why, not other skills. They love grammar. So they'll be followed by applications to enhance speaking and writing respectively. So the following will be like, speaking and writing. For the exploratory factor analysis, this is to find the components of like the the application portal here. So what we did is before we launch a questionnaire, we need to review literature, right? And in the literature of more and everything on and learning, right? We give a questionnaire and the result yield the four main components that we need to like have it in our application portal. Is English language learning resources, of course, right? By resources it means like um, the um, the applications, right? And we emphasize on the free one. And mobile assisted language learning, right? They want something movable and learn from anywhere. Mobile technology is not it's different from mobile assisted language learning. Mobile technology means that the technology that support use of the mobile and the portal collective tools. Therefore, it's kind of respond to our like hypothesis a bit about we need to like really let's say develop what we call portal, right? And the component will be like here the user system. For this model, we decide to be used for both stakeholders, for students themselves and for the teachers who would like to like design the learning for their learners as well, right? Or even the teachers, if they would like to like improve themselves, they can use like these applications as well. We have management systems. We have like the six main components of language learning, right? We have speaking, writing, listening, reading, vocabulary, and grammar. Okay, so I think it will be basically will be like the main features for language learning. Okay, so this is like the satisfaction level that we have found here, right? So they are all high, right? For something all over, but in the central Thai might be lower than um, other part of like Thailand, but still it's still high. It's 3.8, right? And for the evaluation from the experts, we pass the criteria, and the experts, the overall experts, let's say that they are happy with like the features of Molo. Okay. So Molo is a mobile assisted language learning, open resources. Okay, we talk. I will pass this because you may like see it in the video already, right? Um. So this one for teachers, why we need to like think for the teachers, right? What teachers can do in this like application? Well, they can manage English language learning guidance. I will say guidance because the role of the teacher uh stay not do not stay the same anymore, since we are in the world of like learner centeredness, right? So teachers could like, demote themselves to be like facilitator, or like, the guidance of learning. So it means that teachers could select and appropriate, let's say applications, free applications out there for the student to be on the list, because as a teachers, they might have like, more experience, and let's say they can see more which one is like, good applications for the learners to be used, so they can recommend. But then again, if the students can find things on their own, of course they can do. Okay, then in the learning they can set appropriate goals for learner. So if the teacher decide to use Molo in their teaching and learning, they can like, set the goal of learning. By the goal here, usually we go for the proportion of like, the apps that they can like, use, like reading. If this let's say it can, and it can be personalized, right? So if one of the students of yours, they kind of lack of reading proficiency, let's say, so the suggested applications or like the goals for the learner could be set as like, to enhance reading ability, and the apps will go for more in the reading features rather than others, right? And upload CFR based resource. So what is the CFR based resource? Actually, some of the applications on the market, they have like, the CFR certified, and the labels according to CEFR, Common European Framework of Reference. But let's say that some of them do not, right? So we still, in these applications, we have some kind of like the rubrics and let's say the bands of the CFR from A1 to C2 for the teachers to, let's say, to consider whether like, which of the application which is not labeled the CEFR, where they should be put in or categorized. So teachers could help here by the suggestion of like, the manual of the CEFR band within the applications. We also give what we call the credibility credibility criteria, right? Of like the application. For example, there be application, free application, which is not from the like, well-known publishers, right? Therefore, there might be an not they might not show an author and things, so the credibility would be like 1 star. And if it is like the free applications that we include, it might come from the famous publisher as Macmillan, British Council, so they receive like more stars in terms of credibility level. Okay, by receiving the voting of the star. You need to play it to know. Okay, so learners, what is happening for learners is that they can tailor their own learning, right? They can select the resources, they can personalize their learning. I think the learner knows best what they need. Okay, no one can tell. Therefore, any materials that can help enhance the personalized learning would be like, great for the learner at the moment, right? You can observe, you can see the score, but I trust the hunch of like the learner themselves, that they know what they want. Okay, so the personalization is like, one of the good idea for the materials nowadays. And see, you can see 100% here speaking. So it means that, this user, she reached the goal, right? She reached the goal, right, of all skills, 100% of all skills. They set the goal. But the goal here, 100% come from what? Come from like the total number of applications that they achieve, right? So each practicing skills of applications. I will swiftly go through it, talk about it. So one features of like the model here, the mobile assisted language learning open resource is gamifying features, right? The gamifying base portfolio. So this one is like the achievement of the students. We use the achievement of like, the egg to caterpillar to pupa. And if you receive 100%, you will become a butterfly, right? And when they got the butterfly, they will got the badge. There will be level of the badge. There will be like bronze, silver, and gold, because this is the concept of gamification. So you need to like achieve something to get the reward, right? To move on. So this one would be one of the attractive features that motivate motivate the learners to use and engage them to use. So, and when they receive the, like, let's say when they receive the medals, right? If they have the highest score, by highest score, it's not only the students who are in the teacher's class. This is like, the students who all play, learners who all play this application. So if you got like the highest score, you will be put in the rank of Hall of Fame, right? And in the Hall of Fame, you want to stay forever. The Hall of Fame will be like, cleared or like, changed every week. So everyone got the opportunity to get the high rank and to be like selected to be, let's say, to be displayed in the Hall of Fame. Okay. So keep updated application. So it means that since it is open access, open access to open resources from around the world. So in each like skills, you can like upload or like can delete the apps that you have, right? You can change, let's say you can alter the applications within under that skills every week, every day, right? It depends. So if it is like the content, I will repeat it, content applications, it's kind of difficult to get updated. Something that you put there should be there almost for forever, right? But things and learning change quite fast these days, right? So something that it is loose in alteration and can be updated all the time might be more interesting. Okay. And why I say that it can adapt it to like any language learning, since this is a portal, right? So the inside, of course, the portal should be like written in English. We cannot change the language, but the inside, if you like decide to use Molo for teaching French, teaching Chinese, so it depends on the application open resources that you like collect in the portal, so you can like adapt it to teach other languages as well. Again, this is satisfaction levels of Molo from like all the regions, right? So it's quite real. The number is quite related to every like region though, right? The highest one would be 20, would be, oh, difficult na yeah. Would be 1,000, I think it would be 1,000. And by satisfaction criteria, we consider from the quality of the applications, effectiveness of the using, usability, right? Is it like easy to navigate and it's easy to use, a practicality, English language development. So this is the self-report. This is the questionnaire of satisfaction. So finally, I would say that, I will talk about digital technology competency framework for language teaching and learning. I would say these innovation or these small materials here could fit all like, all the requirements of digital competency framework. First of all, safe, effective, and responsible use of like, digital technology communication and language teaching. So it is self, because, there'll be teacher and like, let's say the learner get involved here and things can be monitored, right? And culturally inclusive, equitable use of digital technology for quality of language learning. So biculturally inclusive, it means like, you can like, add anything to of any culture, and you might, need to sometimes, let's say since it is gamified, the player of like, not the player, the learner of these applications would come from around the world. Okay. So technical pedagogical context knowledge and language teaching for future work and skills. This is it. It can like, use for Coursera, for this is a MOOC, right? MOOC, right? So MOOC is kind of massive open courses, right? So it can be linked, or if it has the form of applications, you can like, put it in Moodle as well as one of the like, under skills here. Under batch, digital technology of online learning. Exponential technology in language teaching, right? For both teachers and learner. This one, I would like to show that something that you can upload to Moodle is not only the applications, you can upload the link as well, as we found something in the link, because some of like, the open resources materials that are out there, usually it might be in the form of application itself. It might be in the form of what we call responsive website, which means that the responsive website, which means that they can like alter the interface up to the device, right? So it could be the link only, or you can even upload the file, but the file shouldn't be that big. I don't remember well, it's 2 MB or something like this, but not that big. But you can upload the file as well. Okay. So this is like, the students whom I collect the data of the trying out of Moodle from other, part of Thailand. So this is the strength of Moodle. It provides equity. It is inclusive, right? Everyone could use it, can use it, and ubiquity. You can learn from anywhere at any time, and you can take control over your learning. That means that it can increase the autonomy. Okay, so this is one of like, the research, let's say research based materials development or research-based application portal that I would like to illustrate the case. How can we like conduct the research for developing the materials, right? To sum up here, so if you explore the field of research development, you will see that the researchers in the field of materials development, they have the dual roles. They are a researcher and they are the practitioner at the same time, right? Especially the classroom practitioners. So they see the problems. So materials can be informative in that they inform the learner about the target language, instructional, and that they guide the learner to practice the language. Experiential, in that they provide the learner with experience of language in use. Eliciting, in that they encourage the learner to use the language, or exploratory, in that they help the learner to make discoveries about the language. So that's come to the end of my presentation today. So hopefully today's I can like, will initially, let's say, because there's a lot of things to discover as you are like, I know that you are an active educators, right? Will initially elucidate the myths of the research in the materials development. Okay, so if you have any question, please do not hesitate to ask. Thank you. Good time though. I know that the audience might be hungry already, therefore.
Okay, guys, so thank you so much, right? Thank you so much, Assistant Professor Dr. Pornpimol Sukavatee, for our insight. material development and research, right? Right now, we do have some questions, right, from the audience, right? First of all, I've seen someone talking about how actually can we develop the instructional material through the application,
Okay.
right? Because it's kind of very difficult, isn't it? So you need to contact some company or institute on this particular
But
kind of
actually, for
development.
like, I understand, but the plan is ours, right? You need to design first. You have to have the design, the components first, and then after having the components by, doing conducting some like R&D, some kind of research to ensure the components that you are going to develop is in the right direction, right? Um, and then you might need to like, if like my application is kind of, let's say, sophisticated a bit because they need to log in, right? They can use Facebook to log in, right? They can use like Google or Gmail to log in, right? They can log in as a teacher. They can log in as like, so they have what we call the uh, หลังบ้านอ่ะ we have like the system,
Okay.
back system. So we need to like, contact the company, and we need to have the server, right? But if your institute, I mean, if you develop the applications and if your institute have some kind of space as, the server, you can decide. There'll be like a variety of the cost of like, the application development. You can start from like something basic. I think we have the free application like, developer as well, but the feature might be like, a bit limited. You need to
Right.
study.
And what would be a kind of like estimate budget? Can you estimate that
And
for some?
estimate budget law. So you might have like Ajahn Monton, you have your own application as well, right? At LITU.
Right.
Tell me
Okay.
your budget first. Share,
Okay.
share the budget first, Ajahn Monton. Yeah.
Right.
What
That
is
would be
your
a
like?
big sum. I wish actually that would be a big sum of money somehow, right? But
Right. Share your TU get application cost,
right. Okay. One thing I can contribute is that is kind of you need to develop in phase by phase, kind of like little by little, not in kind of like exclusively like that. It's going to be cheaper in terms of app development that way.
But there will be like, the scales of it, right? There
Right.
like, some kind of the basic applications that you may try it out first. But if you have like, the budget from the institute, you have the budget from like, the let's say some kind of research fund, right? So it is not, let's say it is not that out of reach, right? You can do it, okay. But what matters is that I think it's about the design, how you like use the pedagogy in there, what is like, as a researcher, I care more about, the design of like, the materials that you are going to develop.
Right. And there's one thing about your research as well. Do you have any obstacles in conducting the Malo research? And how would you actually handle that?
But it requires some steps to do so, right? So it's like kind of longitudinal to like, we can't finish it like, in a very short time, because this is for R&D, of course, right? In the research phase, it takes some time already for any research in R&D, right? And since the scale of the research of mine is quite, quite big, we need to travel around Thailand, right? And requires a lot of like cooperation and collaboration from many stakeholders. In terms of the, but I would say that I'm lucky enough that I got the support from anywhere or any regions or any school that I visit. Some of the school I do not know them, right? But by recommendations, but still like, they still like, welcome me and like kind of cooperate, let's say, as at best that they can. So I think that during my research, I would say that I'm lucky enough that I do not have like, big difficulties in that, but it's hard to like finish, of course,
Okay,
because
that is kind of time constraint, isn't it? Right. And the last question.
It requires energy. You need to have.
Right. Stigma in terms of like conducting research, right? And the last, I think it should be the last question for the speaker, right? In terms of like app development, do we need like an ICT expert to develop that for us? And we just provide content, or we kind of like handle everything on our own then?
So it depends, right? I think that, but if you have an idea of ICT a bit, it will be helpful, right? Therefore, like, you can give comment to the ICT guys. Of course, you might need some collaboration from, or the help or the assistance from like the ICT guys, right? Or the ICT's experts, of course. But somehow, if you can like, have the basic knowledge of how to use technology or have some idea, right? You can work hand in hand like easily, and you can like have some kind of like beneficial comments in terms of language learning for like the one that you work with, right? Because you are the expert as well. All of you are the experts of language learning and teaching, right? The one who comes today, you are all the expert. No one knows better than you, right? The ICT guy, they do not know the language learning and teaching. So it's you who can like kind of direct the way that the ICT guy could develop if you would like to work on the applications.
Right. That is quite an insightful to do kind of app development. I think a lot of people would love to do kind of apps development in this time as well, but there will be kind of difficulties, challenges in terms of developing like that, right? For more information, I think you might contact our speaker directly, right? Dr. Pornpimol. We will provide the email of the speaker for you in the evaluation form very soon then. So if you please evaluate our session as well. And as our tradition, I think it's time for us to do the group photo, right? Right, that's the LITU style, right? Could you please be with us, right?
Glad to see you, and thank you for coming, everyone. Hopefully that my presentation would help clarify something that you might need to know in the field of like materials development research, and if it can be helpful for you, I'm happy. Okay.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Right. So okay. Thank you. For the time, 3, 2, 1, action. Okay. Right. I need to take 4 time then. 3, 2, 1, action. Okay. 3, 2, 1. And 3, 2, 1. Okay. Right. So okay, the photo of the sessions will be available, okay, on our LITU Facebook. Please stay tuned. And also the next webinar of ours will be here, Demystifying Action Research for English Language Teachers on Saturday, the 29th of May at 1 p.m. Bangkok time by Assistant Professor Dr. Kittitach Sunporn Vipat. Okay, so stay tuned for this upcoming webinar on action research. Okay, so and thank you so much everyone for coming here, for being a patient, lovely participants, and also big thanks go to our speaker, right, Ajahn Jum, Dr. Pornpimol Sukavatee, right, for an insightful. Thank you so much, right?
And thank you, Ajahn Monton, for like inviting me. Thank you.
Right, and if you would love to watch this again, this webinar will be available on LITU YouTube. Okay, stay tuned for more updates then. Okay, thank you. Yes.
I think there would be more like open camera now. Can we like take a take a
why not? Why not? Okay.
When we go, it's kind of like the cam off. Everyone is cam off, so we got people on. Yeah, right.
Okay, so we have lots of camera on. Okay. Okay, one more time. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much for inviting me. And if anyone has more like question on that, you may like write me an email. And for like as I told you that I will like share my manual, right, of Molo to Ajahn Monton then, right? So if one would like to request this to request this kind of manual, you may ask Ajan Monton as well.
Okay, right. Once again, all the materials will be available on our Facebook page. Okay, Facebook page then. Okay, so thank you so much everyone for being here with us, and see you again next month for the action research webinar.
Bye
All right,
bye.
and thank you Ajahn Pornpimol as well, right? Bye bye, and be safe, stay safe, and enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
everyone
Thank you.
for coming.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Prof.
Thank you so
Pornpimol.
much. Thank you so much.
Thank you
everyone.
ค่ะ
Thank you, Prof. Monton.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carl. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.